So this is going to be a bit of an unpopular opinion, I'm sure. But so as a chiropractor, yeah, we get a lot of new patients who, they're construction workers with sciatica, or they're office workers suffering from carpal tunnel syndrome, and they're just looking for some help. But I'd say the majority of the folks who seek us out, they're people who are sick of being medicated. They're looking for alternative forms of healthcare to our modern medical model. And a lot of these people are on a lot of supplements, and they tell me on these first visits almost with pride about how many supplements they're taking. It could be upwards of 20, patient once even approaching 30 different supplements every day, nutritional supplements. And they'd be shocked to hear that I'm not all for that at all. I really don't believe that that's in alignment with the chiropractic philosophy. What is the chiropractic stance on nutrition? Well, it's not that you need to have nutritional supplementation for whatever ails you. If your chiropractor is selling supplements in his office and he's treating your thyroid problems or your adrenal fatigue with desiccated adrenal glands from a cow or something, that's not chiropractic. That has nothing to do with chiropractic. I am a firm believer in whole food nutrition, that our bodies are designed to function correctly, that food is what was intended to be put into our body to run our bodies, and there's actually a lot of scientific benefit from getting our nutrition that way over and against supplementation. But there's a big argument against this idea, and I keep hearing it repeated, that our vegetables, our food, our produce today is lacking in nutrition, lacking in nutrients, and that's because our soils are depleted, and the way that they factory farm these days, a carrot's just not a carrot like it was 100 years ago. Well, there's a tiny, tiny bit of truth to that. There is evidence that, a carrot today has a little bit less zinc, slightly less iron, and things like this, minerals in it than they did 100 years ago. There's a variety of reasons for that. They're using different varieties of carrots. For one, they're focused on yield and shelf stability because they're being shipped all over the place. It's not, our grandparents' carrot, but it is still a carrot. See, a lot of people think of vegetables when they get into these conversations about nutrition density and stuff as being like sacks. The carrot's a sack, and that sack may or may not contain all of the vitamin A and the vitamin C and everything else that you should be getting from a carrot. Well, that's not how it works. The carrot is not a sack that may or may not contain these things. The carrot is these things. That is what the carrot is. All of those nutrients, all of those minerals, that's what makes up the carrot. And if the soil lacks those things, a plant simply does not grow a carrot. It will maybe grow a bunch of leaves trying to get sun to try to grow a carrot, but it will not grow. This happened, we had a nice little garden in our home back in northern Pennsylvania, but once we moved down here to West Virginia, beautiful property, nice Victorian home in the middle of a nice historic town, but everything shaded with these huge trees. But we tried, I tilled up, I thought, a very beautiful looking garden, and it was beautiful, lush green, everything. And beneath the soil, no radishes, little strands of nothing, no carrots, little strands of nothing. It's because they were not getting the sunlight they needed to produce a carrot. And it also works the other way. If the soil is depleted of nutrients, it will not grow a carrot. Okay? So if you have a carrot, you are holding the nutrients you need. It's like a woman who's breastfeeding. If she suddenly starts experiencing some malnutrition, she doesn't start producing inferior breast milk. Rather, her body will assess what's going on and route resources to breast milk production, even at the woman's body's expense, to make sure that the breast milk that's being produced by the mammary glands is of the highest standard quality, just like it was when she was receiving proper nutrition. Now, if her nutrition gets low enough, she doesn't then start producing, finally, inferior milk. She just stops producing milk. The body will not do it. It will not make the milk. It will keep the woman alive, okay? But we think of vegetables as being some other way. She's not going to start producing skim milk all of a sudden because she's not getting proper nutrition, and we're not going to have nutrient less carrots or pick your vegetable of choice because they're being grown in infertile ground. They're just not going to grow. Any farmer will tell you that. Now, there are a few exceptions to this philosophy of mine that, all of your food needs to be coming from whole nutrition. And it's, again, not my philosophy. It's, in my mind, just part of the broader chiropractic worldview. One would be, if you have not been under chiropractic care, you have not been eating properly, you're at a really bad starting point in your health, some nutritional supplementation can definitely help. You have advanced arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, lots of evidence that taking turmeric as a supplement can help you. Or if you're super high performing, I have a patient, he's a 15-year retired Green Beret, and decided the best thing to do with his time would be to become a power lifter. And this man can lift like my piano's worth of weight by himself. He's very much into the world of peptides and all of these other things. That's fine if you're trying to perform on some entirely different level, but he doesn't for a second think that he needs to, be eating ground up calf liver to get enough iron. Okay. Those are the main exceptions. Well, actually, that last one might be a good exception too. So people who are unwilling to get their nutrition from certain sources. My mother is from Germany. I grew up eating some things that I guess other people would think is a little strange. I love liverwurst, and my kids, 7 and under, they love liverwurst, and so does my wife. When we first got married, though, I tried to cook my wife some tripe, which, if you don't know what that is, it's a cow's stomach. She was not a fan, so I wasn't about to start making her kidney soups and other things too. But there's a lot of things in German sausages that you're just not going to find elsewhere, from liver to blood to one of my favorites is Gelbwurst. If you're brave, go and look what's in that stuff. It's not exciting. If you're not willing to do that, then okay, I can see the point in maybe supplementing with a beef organ supplement of some kind or something like that. But in general, we should be getting most of our nutrition from whole foods. And there's so much benefit to that too, because that's how God intended it to be. Well, actually, there's no B, C, or D. That's how God intended it to be. And it's so superior because we're also getting a bunch of other things that we're not getting generally with our supplements. We're getting fiber, we're getting phytonutrients, we're getting synergistic nutrients as well, other nutrients that help the nutrients that are in the food. And now this is copied or replicated in a lot of ways with a lot of really good, high quality whole food supplements. But it's never going to meet the same level and criteria as if you're just eating the food itself. There's also some research out there that shows that people who are taking, multivitamins and supplements, pregnant mothers, especially with folate and things like that, that they're actually suffering ill effects from this, not because there's anything wrong with the supplements, although sometimes there is, whole other video, but because of a psychological effect where they think, well, I'm taking all this good stuff, I don't have to worry about my diet as much. And so they might end up with a really inferior diet in a lot of ways because they're relying on these pills to do the work for them. And that creates a lot of negative health repercussions as well. So there's a lot of good to be said for this, for whole food nutrition when you can get it, even if it's a matter of organic versus factory produced. I would rather see someone eating a simple whole food diet that's not organic, that's cut out, grains, sugars, all this bad stuff, highly processed foods, and just eat commercially grown carrots and chicken and beef, versus someone who's totally granola. They're eating gluten-free, they're eating everything organic, but they're eating all these highly processed foods, all these alternatives to the gluten version of things. If you look at the back of these, they're as disgusting as the stuff in the center aisles of the grocery store. This is, heavily processed junk to scratch our itch for the things that we're cutting out of our lives. So I'd rather just see someone eat a whole clean diet made up of factory farmed stuff, really, versus that. And it's, again, because our bodies are just designed to function that way. That innate intelligence inside of us that God put in every single human being knows how to process these things and to do good in our body with these things. And so that's why I really don't believe in this, being on 20 dietary supplements. So I know that's going to be unpopular with some folks. I know a whole lot of people are going to suddenly feel vindicated because they are not part of this trend. But if this resonates with you, if that makes sense, or if it's got you scratching your head and thinking a little bit, like this video and subscribe to our channel. More importantly, share this stuff. I don't think you realize how easy it is to change lives these days. All you have to do is post a video like this on Facebook or wherever on one of your feeds, and people see it, and you can really change people's lives in like a few seconds. It's amazing in a lot of ways, the world that we live in. The same vehicle by which all these lies and disinformation is being disseminated, you can be a part of fighting that in the same exact way. So hope this resonates with you. Hope you enjoy this. We got a lot more of this stuff coming soon.